Good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. It is a Wednesday morning, January 20th, 2021, 7:59 a.m. Central. My pleasure to visit with you this morning. We get together most weekdays at this time, barring travel or holidays, with our distribution partners. We have three primary types of distribution partners, don't we? We have affiliates. Who wouldn't want to be an affiliate? Free, easy, simple, lucrative, right? Generate referrals, drop them in, get paid. Secondly, we have our credit literacy educators. These are our educators that focus on credit literacy, surprisingly enough. They get a landing page. They don't do any selling either. All they do is create awareness. They can teach or just network and inform, drive people into their landing page, and that's it. And they get paid on average $300 for just simply each prospect that they refer in. A typical credit literacy educator will generate one client per day. So of course there's 30 days in a month on average. 300 times 30 is 9,000. So our credit literacy educators should average $9,000 a month with no selling, because there's a whole lot of people that have jacked up credit, and we are not credit repair, but we add credit, positive credit boost with no upfront cost to the client. The third role we have is our joint venture incubator partners. These are the leadership team, the cream of the crop, and what we do with them is a 50-50 revenue split. So regardless if you are an affiliate, an educator, or a joint venture partner, we're going to go back and revisit a topic that we've covered before that I'm not sure that all of you have assimilated. And as you should see on the screen, I have the BNI.com website pulled up. During this conversation, we'll use the question and answer function, Q&A function, like a chat box within Zoom. So at any point, if you're not following, you've got questions, you have concerns, type it into the Q&A box. So with that being said, we see those of you that are producing and those of you that aren't. So those of you that produce have different techniques and different strategies, and not all of them are easily replicable. Because I know some of you that are not producing, you'll always ask, well, what's he doing or what's she doing? And frankly, we don't always know the inner workings. Take Josh, for example. He's on the webinar now. Based upon the marketing that he's done, he plans on submitting 200 access to capital leads today. Now, all these are not just blind leads that's never heard. You know, he's educated them. They're aware of the proposition. 200 in one day. Now, Josh is not typical, nor are his results typical. And I'm not saying that you can be Josh, but you know, so there's a group of you, Josh and Billy and Jim and others that are producing a high volume. Thumbs up. In contrast, there are others of you that are producing nothing or next to nothing. And often the question we get is, well, I need leads. Where do the leads come from? And we've had multiple training sessions on different mechanisms and strategies to generate leads. But one of the most predictable way to generate leads is by joining BNI. And again, I have no financial interest in BNI. I don't know anyone that owns their franchise. I don't know any franchise owners. I don't receive any money by promoting BNI. I'm just telling you that if you're not a Josh or a Billy or someone, a Jim, that's generating material volume, you really need to consider BNI. So we're going to talk more about it. Again, I'm not a paid spokesperson. I just have a vested interest in your success. So I'm going to give you an overview and then clarify what you need to do from this point forward. So we're on the BNI website, aren't we? BNI stands for Business Networking International. It's a formal networking model. Networking is a verb that can be kind of loose or it can be very structured. The BNI model is very structured. And so some people don't like it, but you know what? It works. So with BNI, they have different chapters across the country. And within each chapter, they only allow one professional per category. They call that a chair. So there's only one plumber. So that way, two plumbers aren't competing for referrals from the group. There's only one residential realtor, but there may be also a commercial realtor. So let's dig into the website and help you understand enough about how it works to hopefully motivate you to go at least explore BNI, if not join it, because you're going to make a lot more money. You're going to be more like a Billy or a Josh if you're plugging into BNI than those of you that are sitting on fumes. Okay, so BNI, this is their website, bni.com. They say that they generated $16.3 billion in US dollars in revenue and passed 11.5 million referrals, because their model is they have these chapters and there's one person per category, which I've said, and you're always looking out for referrals. I was talking to Josh, for instance, this morning, and Josh is saying, hey, we probably need an accountant to refer people to have help with doing taxes and QuickBooks and that. And I said, well, I have an accountant that I refer to, Josh, but you need an accountant that you refer to, because then they can refer back to you, right? It's that entrepreneurial ecosystem we talked about. So let's drill in. Let's say that we want to find a chapter near us. So you click on this and we can enter in a location. And we did Dallas, Texas the last time we explored it. So we'll be consistent. Now that you can even start your own BNI chapter if you wanted, by the way. But with this, we see in Dallas that there's a number of chapters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this here represents Dallas itself. So I think there's 6. We can start to learn a little bit about them. And one of the things that we'll do in assessing if it's the right chapter for you to join, because you would only join one chapter. BNI only wants you to join one networking group and only be a member of one chapter. But I can tell you how to circumvent that for a larger exposure in just a second. So we can see that they have different chapters and they have different member counts. This, I believe, is the one that I used to be a member of when I lived in Dallas, and it's called the BNI Preston Center. Now, BNI chapters historically met in person once a week consistently. Now with the COVID and the social distancing, many of them have moved to online, at least for the time being. But you can see when their meetings are. And so it's important that you pick a chapter that you can consistently attend the meeting, because if you don't attend, you need to send in a substitute, and that can still be very effective, but we'll table that for a second. So we see this chapter has 45 members. The more members, the better. And this is about as large as you can get. Now, some would argue at 45, well, there's more people to refer back and forth to. Maybe that's too crowded. I don't care. You make your own decision. Maybe you're happier with a group with 20, but we'll just look at BNI Preston Center. So we can hit visit chapter, and it's going to, well, I guess it wants us to, I don't know what voter registration is all about. I've not seen that before. All right, I don't know why they're trying to get us to register to vote here past the election. But anyway, I think their screen may be off a bit. Let's get back out of voter registration. I'm not sure how that just happened. Okay, so let's pick a different chapter then, since that one's not cooperating. Let's see if this comes up normal. Well, all right, well, let's put in my email address and I'll register to vote again, I guess. And we'll see if it brings us to the full screen. All right, well, there's a little stumbling block. But the bottom line is, it normally will bring up the different chapters. And why is it doing this? Well, normally it'll bring up the chapter and you can see who the members are within the chapter. And then you can also back end it. So let's say that I'm looking for a certain profession. Let's see, advanced search. Okay, we'll go back to the chapter. So we were at BNI. What was it? Preston, BNI. What was, I don't remember the name of Preston Center, Preston Hollow, one of those two. Let's see. If we can navigate this. It should have gone a lot smoother. They somehow changed their website. Okay, here we go. Thank goodness. Okay, so now we can see who's a member of this given chapter. And of course, you can search other chapters. So what you're thinking to yourself is, okay, who are some potential referral partners that I could refer to and that could refer to me? So in our world, on the credit boost, we're interfacing with individuals as well as small business owners. On the access to capital, it's entrepreneurs. But we can see who is actively involved in this chapter, and you can look up any other chapter. So we've got a banking. So this is showing what I call their chair. That's their technical word. But so they have a banker, they have a renovation and remodeler, they have a financial advisor, residential real estate, security system, promotional products, chiropractor. Usually they'll have an accountant or a bookkeeper. And I was trying to address what Josh was asking about as far, here we go. So for instance, if Josh were in Dallas, which he's not, and he became part of this BNI chapter, then he would probably be working closely with Joe Hockaday, because Joe Hockaday is a CPA. And so Joe Hockaday probably has small businesses that could benefit from a capital injection, the access to capital. And Josh certainly has clients that could benefit from having a CPA, because every small business should work with a CPA for tax preparation, tax planning, QuickBooks, and so forth. And so then even, and again, these screens are, okay, so he hasn't done much background of his area of expertise, but the bottom line is we can see that Joe Hockaday is a CPA in Frisco, Texas. So why would you want to join BNI? If you're struggling for leads, this is the easiest way, because you have a group of people that's looking out for your best interest. And then also, so they'll refer to you and you can refer to them. The BNI model, though, is not one where you're paying for referrals. So while BNI is a business and they'll charge you, you can go to any meeting, usually twice, and then any chapter twice, and then typically you'll need to join the chapter. And they'll charge you to join the chapter, to no surprise, right? But with that being said, then we can go back to that list, then you're not paying for referrals. It's not their model for you to sign Joe Hockaday up to be an affiliate of yours. So he's going to refer to you without financial remuneration, and you'll also refer to others. If you're, as a credit literacy educator, this is huge, because you're going to find a lot of people that can refer to you, people that have challenged credit. You think the banker runs into people with bad credit? Of course. Think people that are wanting to do renovations and remodeling and they need funding for that? Of course. And so as you go through the list, you can see, you know, everyone knows other people, but what's really powerful about this is that this group is actively thinking about other members in their chapter and how they can refer to them, how they can help people solve problems by getting them connected with a trusted resource. So you can visit a BNI chapter twice without having to pay. You need to at least do that. You know, you get business attorneys, you get so many potential referral sources. And then secondly, once you're a member, then you can actually set yourself up and say, hey, I'll be a sub. So let's say Barry, who's on the call, let's say Barry joined this BNI chapter. And so Barry's name's on this list, but Barry can't make it this Wednesday. I think they meet Wednesdays at lunch. So I would be on the sub list. So Barry could contact me, and I'm not a member of that chapter. And so then Barry could say, hey, I can't make it this Wednesday, Tom, could you sub in for me? So as a sub, then I would attend on his behalf, and I would be able to do a quick 30-second commercial on myself. And then also I'd have the scripting to also represent Barry. So what's the point? You can sub in other chapters. And then once you're a member, you're going to have access to their internal directory. We're just looking at the external one here, but you can log into the internal directory and you could reach out to, for example, let's go back to the CPA. Where was he on this list? There he is. So not only could you reach out to Joe Hockaday, who's in your chapter, we can do a search. And let's go back and show you that. You can do a search for every CPA in the country and also reach out to them. So let's see. Keywords. Let's see if CPA will work for us. And again, their internal directory is a little easier to use, and the external didn't. Here it goes. So here are the CPAs just in the region. So now all of a sudden, Barry could reach out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I guess these are more. I don't know why they're different. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. But what, 25? Oh, we got more down here. Shit, we're at 30 CPAs that now Barry could contact, and they're going to receive his call warmly because he's a fellow BNI member. It's not a cult, of course, but it's an organization. And what's the benefit of being a member of an organization is that they tend to be receptive and trusting of other members of their organization. Think about it. You know, if you're a Boy Scout and you see another Boy Scout, it's like, oh, there's some familiarity. Last year, I bought an old Jeep, an antique Jeep. What happens when you're driving down the road and you see another Jeep, people wave at each other, right? So when there's some source of commonality, it's very easy to approach. If you weren't, now you could use this as a lead generator for referral sources anyway, but if there's two scenarios, if Barry was not a member of BNI, he could get all these people and he could call all of them or reach out to them. But if he is a BNI member, he could get their information and reach out to them, and they're going to be much warmer, because if you just get a list of people to call, it's kind of an unsolicited solicitation. However, if you're a part of the organization, now you have a reason to speak with them and they have a reason to talk to you. And again, it's not just CPAs, right? We've got business bankers and all kinds of potential referral partners. So I've rambled enough. I want feedback from each of you. We got a lot of great minds on here. We've got Anthony, Barry, Beatrice, Billy, Kwong, James, Jim, Joseph, Josh, Quentin, Robert, Will, William, and others. What feedback do you all have? Have each of you joined BNI? Have each of you at least visited a BNI chapter and actually gone to a meeting, whether it be online or in person? Give me feedback, what you've done so far, because I know that when I was a member of BNI, it was an extraordinarily effective and predictable way of filling my sales funnel. And again, some of you don't need more leads. Josh is not worried about getting more leads. He might want a CPA to refer to and get referrals from, but some of you are not hardly producing at all. We're not hardly fogging a mirror. This is the sure proof way to generate leads, and you don't have to recruit them. You don't have to pay them for the referrals. They don't want to be paid for referrals, and they wouldn't pay you for referrals. All right, so Barry's the only one that's responded so far, and Barry's, oh no, others are. So Barry says he's been involved with it in the past, and he's going to follow up. Please do. Please, at least you owe it to yourself and frankly our relationship, that if we're telling you this is the best, I don't want to say the best, this is the most predictable way of filling your sales funnel. If any of you don't feel that your sales funnel is filled, why in the world wouldn't you try this? Again, you can visit any chapter. For Dallas, for example, when we pulled that up, you saw there was 6 different chapters. Frankly, you could just be a BNI whore and go around to 6 different chapters and visit each twice just to get exposures and create relationships. But ultimately, if you would explore it, and then if you decide it's going to work for you, which I think it will, then you can join a BNI chapter. Then you get entrenched in that one chapter. And at that point, great things are going to happen. Because what did we say? If you can just generate 1 referral a day, 30 deals a month, you're making adult money. So we're not looking for something outlandish. We don't need to be Josh. Again, Josh is great. I don't want to stifle his progress. Josh is Mr. 200 this month, right? 200 plus. You don't need 200 to make a great income. One a day. Well, where do the leads come from? Some of you figured out leads. You don't need any advice from me, but others of you are not generating volume. This is probably the answer. All right, so let's get back to your feedback. All right, so Robert has not visited BNI yet, but he's going to focus on that. Thank you for doing so, Robert. I know that it'll be successful. And we can go look. We can go to BNI.com. And again, this website's normally a lot easier to navigate. I don't know why it was giving us the voter registration information today. That doesn't make much sense. But let's look up San Francisco, California. And again, a good strategy is if there's not a chapter near you, you can start one. It doesn't mean go buy a franchise, but you can work with them and you can be the coordinator. You could be the damn president of the local BNI chapter. All right, so in Robert's area, we have, I don't know why it doesn't give us a count, but we have, oh my gosh, probably 8, 9, 10, and then across the bay, 11, 12, 13, and up here 14. So he's got like 14 different potential chapters. We can see the membership count. And again, I'm not here to say that bigger is always better. And you can even sometimes find chapters that are in formation stage where you could become more easily one of the leaders. But pretty consistently, here's a brand new one. But in general, there's around 20 members on average per. And so let's say that he wanted to go explore the Embarcado. Let's see if this works a little better for us. And it's bringing up voter registration. So they've got a problem with their website. But normally that would bring up their chapter page, and that would show their officers and their meeting schedule and their members. Again, it's a BNI website problem, of course, the day that we decide to highlight them. But all right, so Quentin's going to go check it out. Thank you. And again, there is a cost to join BNI. But if any of us think that we're going to run a business without expenses, we're probably too optimistic. It costs money to run a business. But what I'm sharing with you is, and I don't get paid any part of this, but with BNI, while you can attend a chapter twice, and you can go to multiple chapters and attend twice because they wouldn't even know. But the point is, while you would pay to join BNI, you don't pay them any referrals, you don't pay them any commissions. And so it's cheaper to pay a flat fee to join BNI than it would be to pay out a bunch of referrals if that was your alternative. All right, Billy's not attended one yet, but he's going to in the near future. And I'm going to press a little bit. I'd like each of you to commit in the next week. By next Monday, go to BNI.com, explore it, and it says click here for a chapter list and contact information. And explore it in the next week. So let's set a goal of diligently exploring BNI. Okay, it looks like we've kind of backdoored it now. So now we're getting in a little bit deeper maybe to their, so here's a list of all chapters. Okay, so here's a list of their chapters and when they meet. And again, it's very important that you choose a chapter that the time of the day and the day of the week works with you consistently, because they will kick you out if you don't remain an active participant. So again, you can sub out a certain number of times, and subbing, you can sub for others. But let's just pick one of these now and let's see if it's going to cooperate more. Chapter detail. Oh, thank goodness. This is what it was supposed to look like earlier. Okay, so now we see a chapter page. Here's when they meet. They normally meet online. They normally meet at Max's Opera Cafe. Right now they're meeting online, which is not surprising for San Francisco. 29 members. You can click on the membership list. You got the chapter leadership that you can reach out to by email or phone number. And so what you will want to do is have clarity of what is your role. They're going to ask, well, what do you do, Robert? What do you do? And so Robert could say, well, I run a small business incubator, right? And so that's sexy. Or what Will Hicks could do is say, well, I am a credit literacy educator. So you're going to have to identify as one specific role. If you go in and say, well, I sell some insurance and I do some bookkeeping, and I'm a loan broker and I cut yards during the summer and I put up some Christmas lights during the winter, you have no credibility. You got to go to them with your one specific role that you're focused on. That doesn't mean that you don't have diversification in income, but for BNI, you got to be laser focused on this is who you are and what you do, right? You got to be specific. And so then your involvement with BNI needs to be consistent. So let's use that example. Let's say you're an insurance agent, you got a lawn service, and you're a credit literacy educator. Well, you got to pick which of those three you're wanting to plug into BNI. You can't change hats. That doesn't work in their system. So let's say, well, credit literacy educator is what I want to focus on. That's what we're here to do together. Well, great. So then you would not be talking about how you cut grass better than anybody else, right? Or how you can sell them an insurance policy, because that's going to distract and disrupt your relationship with them. That doesn't mean that you don't do other things in the background, but within BNI, you got to figure out who you are and consistently identify in that capacity. So that's an important moment. Oh, Robert says that Max's is 1 minute away from where he lives. That's funny. I didn't plan that, Robert. Okay, let's see what other comments. James is going to check it out. Robert says, yep, he needs leads and needs revenue. Anthony's going to check it out. Okay, so questions, comments on today's topic. I'm here to encourage you to at least by next Monday explore BNI. You can go to BNI's website. You can look up chapters. You can reach out to the contact people. Here's a chapter ambassador. This guy would love to talk to you about your interest in BNI. But again, you need to be prepared to answer the question, well, Joseph, what do you do? Joseph's also a realtor. So if Joseph calls Michael, and Joseph's not in San Francisco, but if Joseph, who's on the line here, calls Michael and says, well, I'm a realtor and also I'm a credit literacy educator, it's going to be crickets, right? That's not a good strategy. You got to go into this knowing what your profession is, at least in relationship to your involvement with BNI. So Mike, you would not inconvenience Michael by calling him or emailing him. You wouldn't annoy him. It wouldn't be a bother. He'd love to hear from you because he's the damn chapter ambassador. He's out trying to look for more people to join the other 29 because he knows that you can bring referrals in and you can probably provide a solution to some of the problems that some of the other members have with their sphere of influence. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So does anyone have an objection to committing between now and next Monday to diligently explore BNI? Notice I'm not asking you to go out and join BNI. I'm just simply saying diligently explore it. So then when we get back together next week, probably on Monday, you can offer feedback to the group. So Anthony, Barry, Beatrice, Billy, Kwong, James, Jim, Joseph, Josh, Quentin, Robert, Will, William, and others. Is there anyone that's not willing to follow this guidance? Is there anyone that says, no, my life is so good, I'm making so much money, I've got so many leads in my funnel, it would be a waste of my time to follow the advice to go explore BNI? So in other words, does anyone object? Because if you don't object, I'd like you to do it. Okay, Kwong's asking a good question. No, you cannot wear multiple hats with BNI. You cannot wear multiple hats. Let's say it again. You can't wear multiple hats. One more time. You cannot wear multiple hats. You have to figure out who you are. And so, Kwong, I know you have other revenue streams. I recommend joining BNI regardless. But you can only go to BNI wearing one hat, and you got to be laser focused on that, or you're not going to be credible and you won't be effective. So again, Joseph, he's a realtor. He's also credit literacy educator. He's got to make a decision before he follows this guidance, which of those roles that he wants to promote. He can't go in and promote both. That model doesn't support that. Now, of course, if Joseph starts helping people with their credit and he realizes that they need a home purchase, can he cross-market, cross-sell to his clients? Of course. He'd be a fool not to. But we don't cross-sell within the BNI model. It doesn't work, because now you're going to start encroaching on other people's area. So there might be another, let's dig into Joseph one more time before we close. So in this chapter, which is not where Joseph is there a realtor? I bet there is. That's one of the first. So there's mortgage, residential real estate agent. So Joseph could say, oh, well, man, there's no room for me. Colleen's already got my position, what's called the chair. She already has the residential real estate. Well, that's not what you're looking at doing. You're going in as a credit literacy educator. We'd say in the back of your mind, well, that sucks. There's already a realtor. There's going to be a realtor in every one of these groups, right? That's one of the first chairs, one of the first openings to fill. But that's not what we're having a conversation. I don't work with you on real estate. I work with you on access to capital and credit boost. So you could still join under a different chair, but you would not represent yourself as real estate, because if you did, this lady is going to be hotter than fire on you, because now you're encroaching on her space. So you'll be protected in the category you're in, but you can't go in and start harvesting referrals from other people from the categories that other people have. Okay, with that being said, I am not a BNI expert. I've been a member. I've seen it work. I have a testimony of it. But at this point, you all need to explore more. You're more than competent enough to go to bni.com, explore, find the contact people, reach out to them, and make your own educated decision. Anything else on BNI we need to cover today? And lead generation. So again, the next time any of you contact me and say, hey, I need help, I don't have enough leads, I'm not making the money I need to make, the first thing I'm going to start asking is, have you explored BNI? Not have you joined BNI or not, because it may not be the right fit for you. But if you've not at least explored it, then shame on you, because this is the most predictable way of filling your sales funnel. And there's no incremental cost, in the sense that you don't pay for those referrals. Any questions? Jim, I see you got your hand up. Can you type your question? We'll give Jim a second to type in his question. And Jim, I sent you that power form over this morning, by the way. So anyone have any questions about this strategy and what we're asking you to do between now and Monday, which is to diligently explore BNI? All right. Thank you all very much. You have an outstanding day, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.